Illegal, addictive opioids are flooding the streets of West Africa, destroying thousands of lives and fueling a public health crisis. It's happening in Côte d'Ivoire, in Ghana, in Nigeria. But where are these pills coming from?
5 million tablets.
How are they getting into West Africa?
I think this is wickedness.
And who are the people making a killing from them?
This is very harmful for others. But nowadays this is
I'm on my way to the Nigerian Drugs Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA. Their checkpoints have become a common sight on the streets of Lagos. In 2023, they seized opioids worth more than $100 million.
This year, all this is 225 tramadol.
Which is illegal. Tramadol is a catch-all name to describe the range of opioids used as street drugs. It's estimated more than 4 million people in Nigeria are misusing some form of opioid.
We're having a problem coming in from another country that has become a big menace in Nigeria.
And which country is that?
India.
No. In 2018, the government banned the sale of tramadol without prescription and cracked down on the import of illegal opioids. Since then, more and more are being smuggled across the borders.
These shipments came in through Ghana, through the borders. They have been tracking him for 5 months.
Would you say that the route between Ghana and Nigeria is becoming more popular in the last year or so?
Definitely, it is.
Tamale in northern Ghana has been hit hard by a recent rise in opioid use. Journalist Yaya Masahudu grew up here.
These drugs are destroying families, destroying young men and women with potential who otherwise would have been able to help in developing this country.
It's got so bad, locals have set up their own task force to track down the opioid dealers. A tip-off has led them to one of the poorest neighborhoods in Tamale.
They'll be raiding the place to see if they can get some of the drugs.
Let's go.
What is happening right now is the task force is here to arrest the drug dealers. It's an addict who has taken the drugs. This is what they found here with just one raid. Yeah. This is what happens almost on a daily basis.
The man in yellow is just a small-time dealer. But who is at the top of this chain? These packets are all we have to go on. But they do offer some clues.
It's called Tafradol. The Ghanaian FDA have confirmed to me the product is illegal in Ghana.
Then I can also see that it says made in India. And if I zoom into the corner, there's a logo with an A and a leaf. Tafradol is registered to a company called Aveo Pharmaceuticals. Their official website shows up, which actually details their products and manufacturing practices. It looks like a legitimate company, but it's the logo that really catches my attention. I found teenagers in Côte d'Ivoire are mixing Tafradol with an alcoholic drink called vodka. An undercover operative agreed to go to Aveo's factory, posing as a businessman looking to supply opioids to Nigeria.
We're here to see Mr. Sharma. Thank you. So nice to see you.
This is one of the directors of Aveo and the boss of this factory, Vinod Sharma.
Yes.
5 million tablets.
This is sample, tablet, everything.
It's the same brand found on the streets in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire.
This is stronger than China.
This is Super Royal. It looks just like the drugs found in Lagos. This is Tima King. the same products seized by the Ghanaian police in 2024. Vinod Sharma displays many more products that look remarkably similar to those found by authorities across West Africa.
This is very powerful. Tablet is very powerful compared to the sketch. But rate is very different. Double rate. Double power.
This task force in one small corner of West Africa is doing all they can. But as these drugs burn, production lines in India are churning out millions more. And the people who make them are getting rich on the profits of other people's misery.
On this episode of The Key Point, we are going to touch on a very powerful and important conversation given the impact of the increasing rise of drug abuse in West Africa. Recent reports have indicated a troubling rise because of the young people that have been affected, the families that have been affected, and societies that have been affected. And to have this conversation with me, I have two people in the studios. I have a guest that has had a situation where he had to follow someone who has gone through addiction or drug abuse, and also another person who is a consultant when it comes to wellness. So I have Mr. Hyacinthe Kwame Ketemepi, who is an apostle, a writer, and also a Bible school teacher. He will be giving us more insight on this very important conversation. And I have Prince Mali, who is a teacher as well, and also a consultant on wellness, community wellness and ethics. Thank you very much for joining the conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I know we are all concerned for our youth in every country. We are in Togo now, so we say Togo. And it's very disturbing to see some of the images we've seen today. It's very disturbing. So first of all, before we get into the discussion part, we have to look at some of the terms. So there will be a slide that will play on the screen, which we are going to touch on. So first of all, the topic is the resurgence and the rise of drug abuse and addiction. We use the word resurgence because it has been there for a while. Probably we've not heard about it, but it is coming up again. So first of all, someone will ask, what is a drug? And by definition, a drug is any substance that affects the body's function, either positively or medically, or negatively, which is illegally and harmfully. Now, there's also a term called prescription, which is a medical authorization given by a healthcare professional to obtain and use specific medication, and also what we call addiction, which is a chronic relapsing disorder, which is characterized by compulsive drug use despite the harmful consequences. Now, another term we need to look at is drug abuse and also drug misuse. So drug abuse is the intentional use of a drug in a way that is harmful, excessive, and for non-medical purposes, while the misuse is the improper use of the medication, often unintentional or due to a misunderstanding of the dosage. Now, there are certain key characteristics when we are talking about these drugs. Drugs in some instances can be legal, which means you require prescription or an over-the-counter drug, or which can be illegal as well sometimes. And drug also alters the mental, emotional, and physical state of the person. Now, when we come to prescription, we have a characteristics that indicate that it is legal and controlled by regulation, which is why they say you needed to see a doctor or a healthcare person. And then it is intended for a specific use, which means they will not give you paracetamol for stomach ache, definitely. And when we come to addiction, one of the characteristics is that you lose control over the drug use. And then you have physical and psychological dependence. You always have to depend on it. And then sometimes you withdraw from society. That is one of the other things too. Now, when it comes to the key characteristics of drug abuse, the first thing we can look at is that when you are abusing drug, it means you are taking higher doses than it is being prescribed. You are using the drug as recreational so that you can get high. And then it can also lead to physical and psychological harm. When it comes to the misuse, we are talking about taking more prescription due to the pain, although you are not allowed to. Sometimes you skip some of the doses or you stop taking the medication suddenly, whereas you may still be suffering from whatever you are going through. And also sometimes the misuse means you are sharing your prescription with other people That is a misuse. Now, some examples of drugs I have them in 3 categories. We have painkillers, we have the stimulant, and then the depressant. And some examples of prescriptions are antibiotics, opioids, and antidepressant as well. And some examples or types of addiction will be being unable to function without the alcohol or the drug, experiences cravings or withdrawal symptoms, and continuing to use the drug despite knowing very well that it's having effect on your health, the relationship you have with other people. And lastly, some of the examples of drug abuse, we have taking painkillers without a prescription or for pleasure, snorting or injecting medication instead of taking them orally. So you misuse how you're supposed to do it, and using stimulants for energy or steadying. Some people feel they need a drug so they can perform properly. And then for the misuse, we have taking antibiotics for a viral infection, taking the wrong drug for the wrong medicine, so the wrong sickness, and using someone else's medication, doubling the dose of the painkillers without an advice from a healthcare professional or a doctor. So in summary, we've looked at the definition of some of the terms that we'll be using on the program. We look at some key characteristics of some of those terms as well, and also some examples of some of these things. But before we move to the other question, anything you want to add on maybe what a drug would be, a prescription, an abuse, and then addiction?
If I should add something, when we talk about drug abuse or addiction, it's also called use disorder.
Okay.
So wherever there is a disorder in the use of those substances, it creates abuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I can add for now.
Any addition? Or shares? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. As a community wellness and ethic consultant, we serve as a major link between communities and have resources, striving to support ethical practices and holistic well-being. And in that dynamic, I will add that drug is a chemical substance that alters the psychological and physiological aspect of a human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from the video we watched early on, we saw some of the drugs, the Tramadol, different variations of it, the Tramadol and the rest. Yeah. But definitely within different communities, there could be some other ones. So if you can help us identify some of those drugs and tell us also why they are probably, if I should use them, easily accessible to most people.
Yeah, actually some of the drugs are sold in pharmacy.
Okay.
But it's the use that becomes the problem. And some other drugs are not chemical, which are drinks,
okay,
are sold also in the it's on the market. And many people, by using the way of using them, as it was said in the video, the way of using them is the problem. They abuse using them. They go above the prescription. This is where the problem comes from.
So how is it accessible for people? How are people able to get their hands on it that easily?
I will give a simple example. Somebody to whom a medicine has been prescribed legally, and he goes to the pharmacy, buy it. He can take the same ordinance and go to another pharmacy to buy it. There is no control. The way he has he can go to as many pharmacies as he wants to buy it. So he can misuse it in this way.
Okay. Any addition to that?
Yeah. In addition to that, I want to add that there are different kind of drugs. We have the drugs that are recommended by the healthcare professionals, okay, and the drugs that are used for recreational purposes. For instance, we have, for instance, cocaine, we have marijuana, and these kind of drugs are recommended and even legalized in some countries like South Africa, America, Mexico. You see that? So we have when we take in the pharmaceutical field, we have oxycodone, the painkillers like oxycodone, hydrocodone. We have bath salts. People bath with it to relax, to kill their pain.
You see that? So we have different kind of drug used for different purposes. And as a great thinker used to say, when the purpose of something is not known, the abuse is inevitable. So I think that people should know why they are using these drugs in order to regulate it. Yeah.
Okay. So definitely, because sometimes if you don't use it yourself, you may not be able to understand what those who are using it go through. You may not be able to understand what is pushing the people. But there is this saying that once an addict, always an addict, which begs the question that does it mean there's no hope for those people? So maybe from your various fields or your encounters with probably people who have gone through the process, what are some of those misconceptions that people have about drug addicts or those who abuse drug?
Actually, it becomes a deformation of the brain.
Okay.
At some point, the brain is no more functioning the normal way. So this, as the brain functions with the whole body regulating everything, when it comes like this, it's just like there is something missing somewhere. The fundamental brain work is at a point of time misconcept. So at this level, if the drug does not come, they believe they are not functioning well.
Okay.
It's like a simple example. Somebody who has gotten to a point addicted with drinking alcohol before eating. At a point, we'll simply tell you, if I don't take alcohol, I don't feel like eating. But this one is becoming an abuse. And you can easily be addicted to this without knowing. It's not being a drunkard on the street that is the abuse, or that be depending on this alcohol. But this that you are doing every day is becoming part of your body. The brain has captured it, and if you don't do it, you not feel free.
Yeah.
Okay, any addition?
Yeah, talking about the misconceptions about drug, I can add the fact that there are a lot of misconceptions. For instance, people say that the drug prescriptions are secured, which is not true, because it can lead to dependency. We see many young people who buy chemical product in pharmacy, and they are addicted to it.
Yeah.
They are addicted to it. And also, there are people often say that it is only demographic. It is demographic, which is not true, because it is spammed everywhere. It is spammed to everywhere. And also, we need to consider the fact that drug addiction should be regarded on a positive aspect. We should have a positive point of view on it in order to limit the negative effects. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to read some few things, and you tell me if you agree with this. Some of the misconceptions that were sent.
Okay.
Someone said addiction is a choice. Is that true?
It is not true.
Okay.
It is not true.
Someone said only hard drugs can cause addiction.
No.
I think it goes in line with even the alcohol example you gave, which is not true. Someone said only people with strong willpower can quit easily.
This is not always
the case,
because I've gone to psychiatric hospital. I've seen people who are strong but that gotten weak over there by the addiction, and they are not able to come out.
Well, another message is drug addicts are criminals or morally weak people. I think that one is something commonly taught by a lot of people, that once you're an addict, it means you're a criminal, and people are treated probably as such.
Me, on a certain point, I will agree to this point of view, because it leads people to commit immoral acts, like stealing, robbery, killing, because they are not aware of their state. Okay. They are on another level, mentally and psychologically.
Okay. But at this point, I can add the environmental factors.
Okay.
Because there are people who become addicted, who can easily get out of this place, but let's say, for example, somebody who is addicted, who has been in prison, there he will become
you
worse.
have a record.
Yes, he has a record. He has contacts where things that he was not supposed to do, if the environment was positive and favorable for his change, he will get worse over there.
It's true.
So,
well, there is this next one that says prescription drugs are safe and non-addictive, but I think we've already debunked that one. And it's also say you can't get addicted if you use only drugs occasionally from time to time, which I don't think is true because the alcohol example still plays against that. And another one says rehabilitation always works on the first try. So when he gets to the state where, I mean, you are community wellness, so
Not at all.
It's not true.
Not
I
at
mean,
all.
I don't believe that as well myself. And you mentioned marijuana. Someone is saying that marijuana is completely harmless. But I don't believe that because you gave the example, it's not necessarily the drug itself, but it is how it is used. So it is not possible. But is it possible also that addiction only affects poor people?
No.
Well, I already debunked the popular one. Once an addict, always an addict. I don't believe in that because it can happen to anyone at any time. And some of the causes is what we are going to move to now. So I will start with you on this one. I'm sure maybe on different platforms, on different programs, conversations we have every day, we can off the mind speak about some of the main causes of addiction. Some may probably be the same up to today. Some may probably be already gone. There could be new ones. So in your perspective or in your line of work, what are some of those things that you believe are the causes or push people to get into the abuse, first of all, and then in relation to with the addiction?
Okay, thanks very much. Drug abuse is caused by many factors. Like, for instance, when you take the influence of friendships and relationships. So I once have friends, two of them, who got addicted 3 years ago, and I used to counsel them. And one of them got addicted through associations. You see that? When we went to university to study law, he entered into the musical field. He became a rapper, and through the influence of his friend, he became addicted. You see that? And the second one also became addicted through relationship. I think that relationship influence young people, and it leads them to addiction. Yeah.
So as a pastor, I'm sure definitely, or as an apostle, definitely there could be some religious perspective out of it, or maybe even just with your congregation. Maybe if you had any example, or maybe someone came to you in church, for example, to confess. How would the experience be like?
Even before getting there, I believe there are about 11 factors.
Okay.
11 major factors: the biological, the environmental. My brother spoke about the environmental. There is the psychological, the social factor, the economic factor, the consequences of substance use, the health problem, the brain relationship or the strain relationship, the legal issues, and financial consequences also can introduce to drug abuse. Coming to the second question, I would say I had is for the past 11 years, I had an experience. I needed to follow somebody who was drug abused and or drug addicted because he's a musician, and through association he got into this, and at any moment they meet for their training or whatever, this is the first thing that they do. But forgetting that his health condition and his body does not support this. So we have gone through so many things. Either the prayers, spiritual aspects, or even trying to coach him with so many things. Sometimes you need to go early morning to take him out of the house so he cannot be free and go wherever he wants, or even sometimes you have to move him from where he is, the initial environment, to other environment, create some new things that will stabilize him and cut him away from those relationships before we have seen changes more than 8 years after. And these changes, at sometimes when you are interacting with him, you know that there is something that is missing somewhere. So the brain has strongly been affected, but we are moving step by step, because with those people, you can change it from a day to another. So this is my experience in this field.
Okay, I mean, it is important to highlight the social and economic aspect, especially for me, because the disparities we have in society are clearly one of the bases to which those things happen. And also, like you said, the environment involves the social aspect of life as well. So we have another video we'll be playing, but we'll be going for a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll get to the second part of the discussion.
Did you ask your friend, what be this? Did you ask him, what be this way they give me?
Tell me saying a cigarette, get fine flavor, we do and sweet.
Wow. So you were only following the sweet.
Later now, I can say na kush.
When they make it too late. Wow. So your a friend introduced you to that?
Yes, but in first, he don't die.
Either your friend died?
We still we get money, we smoke kush. Smoke up, you make so.
You make so they sleep, they don't.
Kush they make your body they done, then you need able to sleep back. Ton. If you don't smoke, you need able to sleep. Pass the smoker before you sleep. Thief.
It's a thief. It's a what thief? They do that time. You can't sell your mommy in TV. So the rate at which hard drug is killing or destroying the youth in Africa, especially West Africa, is mind-blowing, and it's something that the government has to look into it. There are so many names that every country call this hard drug. In Ghana, some call it red or tramadol. In other countries like Sierra Leone, they also call it kush. And these hard substances are really taking the lives of the youth in Africa. So I had a chance to speak to two of these victims who have indulged themselves in this kind of hard drug called kush in Sierra Leone. And this is what they have to say. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And if you're in Sierra Leone, please kindly help our brothers that they want to stop this kush thing so that they can able to have their life back and also learn some career.
No, that is not correct.
Not correct.
Me are not good for that side.
So do you think you being a parent, you had all the strictness, all the teachings, all the how parents to put the child in a good line to avoid this kind of stuff?
We're not glad you. Because we don't born picking. You brought her up, put her school, say we don't do something for you better. You go to my for smoke kush. You stay on the street, you dirty.
Okay.
You not fine for look. We're not glad. We're not ever glad as parents.
Okay.
We're not glad for that.
Okay.
As sisters, we're not glad for so brother and any kind of condition they are.
Okay.
You don't see.
Okay. Into that situation, you take things for granted. But it is a serious thing. See, he says it's a serious thing, means he knows the mind wants to stop, but the body is weak. Okay, the mind wants to stop, but the body is weak, or the spirit is weak. So help will come. Yeah. Because since you have the heart to stop, somebody will also put in money on your top, because once you are ready to do something, somebody will put in money for top. But if you're not ready to stop, nobody will help you. But right now you are ready to stop. You won't stop and learn and have your future for your hand.
Sometimes it can become difficult for people to be able to identify when somebody is actually misusing a drug or abusing it, because either the person clearly being aware that it's not something he or she is supposed to do, will find a secret place to do it, or follow people that have a base as which they operate. Although some people definitely still do it from home or from where people visibly can see them. So definitely I have another guest joining us. She is Lomé Akugre. She is a teacher and she also has a background in guidance and counseling. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you too.
So since you are new, I'm starting with you on this one. We'd want to know from you, probably from your experience or from your line of work, what are some of those signs or symptoms that indicate that someone is abusing drug or misusing it?
Okay, so looking at the warning signs of drug abuse and addiction, we can divide it into 3 basic parts.
Okay.
We can look at the physical signs, we look at the behavioral signs, and then we look at the psychological signs.
Okay.
So I would start with the physical signs. With the physical signs, most of the times you see a change in the person's body. Either you find some skin disorder, you look at their eyes, most of the times they have some bloodshot eyes. Most of the times you can also look at their lips, either it becomes really dark or it's extra red or pink, as others would like to put it. And sometimes too, you see that the people would just lose weight all of a sudden. There is a sudden weight loss or a sudden weight gain, all depending on what kind of drugs they are using and all. And then we look at the behavioral signs. Most of the times these people would lose interest in their hobbies. Things that they used to enjoy doing, they lose interest in doing those things. Other times they have some secretive behavior. They lie about their whereabouts. They like to hide a lot of things. Probably they are going out, you ask them where they are going, and I'm just going to this place and that place. They come home later than they are usually supposed to, or they have some kind of things that they normally used to hide. They just hide things.
Out of the usual.
Exactly. They become very secretive about a lot of things. And then we can also look at a few psychological signs. The simplest one that is associated with drug abuse is usually depression. So most of them become depressed. Some of them experience memory loss. Other people also experience some sort of hallucinations.
I mean, we saw some in the video that just
exactly. They see things that you wouldn't see if you don't use the drugs and all. So these are some of the signs that would tell us if someone is really getting addicted or is abusing a drug.
Okay. Any additions on that one?
She has said almost all. I can just add, apart from the depression, anxiety, trauma, and some behaviors that shows clearly that the person has lost something in the normal ways. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, definitely when... Oh, you wanted to go? Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, back to some years ago, I remember when I was in college, I had a cousin who attempted to taste drug. And I remember some of the characteristics. He used to withdraw himself from society. He used to do things lonely, and also he has some negative impact, like mental disorder, and he became like mad.
Yeah.
You see, so the family tried to find out some issues, some solutions in order to help him come out of this that situation. And also we have depression, like she mentioned earlier. Depression, they feel anxiety and depression. It's like they live in a horrible world, because psychologically it's like they are not aware of how things are happening in this world. So they have both spiritual impact, and psychological impact on them. Thank you.
So definitely, when something is not being used properly, which is a misuse, and then an intentional use, which is the abuse, there would definitely be the repercussions or the consequences on the individual themselves. I mean, we've looked at the physical, the psychological, and behavioral. Now, in that relation, how does that individual's actions, whether it be physical, psychological, or behavioral, how does it affect their family? How does it affect their society and even just their surrounding as a whole? I'll start with Mr. Jacinto on this.
There are so many ways in which this affects families. For example, in every family, every individual is we expect some things from every individual. So if there is a single one whose comportment or ways of behavior is destructing the whole family. It's bringing some shortage. Our friend just gave an example. When you have somebody in your house who is depressed, I know some people who used to shout whole days or fight with everyone. There are some who can go worse by using arms. There is a whole lot of things that can happen in the house. So family is strongly affected. I have a long-time friend who is today addicted to alcohol. He can be saying all kind of things. He's a grown-up, but he can be saying all kind of things all day long at home, abusing each and everyone that he sees, saying all kind of things. So it brings a disorder in the family, instability in the family.
Well, some people say they eat a lot, so which means there's more mouth to feed for just one person. I don't know how true that is. Miss Lomé?
Well, about the eating, I've experienced a situation like that. It is not as if they eat a lot, but it's just that they don't know what exactly to eat. Okay. And so you serve them rice. They try as if they want to eat the rice, and then they end up messing it all up, so much so that someone else cannot have it. Okay. And they are not able to eat it. And then you try something else. Okay. And then they go ahead to try, because after using that drug, their body isn't together. It's not functioning normally. And so even their eating style also changes. So it's even one of the warning signs. If you are really close to someone and you see that the way the person is eating is beginning to change, the person touches this, the person touches that, the person touches another kind of thing, I think it's one of the things you should consider looking at. And about the impact on the family, most of the times you are not even able to speak about the person as much. So let's say if the person is your relative, and then you are with a group of friends talking about their elder brothers, what they do for them, and all of that. You are just seated. You don't know what to say about yours. Or maybe they are younger brothers or their sisters. You don't know what to say about yours. And most of the day, they might even ask you, don't you have an elderly sibling? Don't you have a younger sibling? And because you know the kind of life they are living, you are not able to open up. And most of the times, it also affects the family members emotionally, because you see them and you're like, no, why is this happening to this friend of mine, this brother of mine, this sister of mine? Sometimes you find ways and means to help the person, and you don't even know how to go about it. And most of the times, they would even end up trying to kind of tell you that I've got my own things together, and then sometimes they abuse you, they get abusive towards you, trying to help them and all of this affects really the family greatly. And it's not just the individual, but the family is also affected.
One key thing someone sent to me right now, he said that there is a shame on even the individual that is going through the process, and also the family, because to some people it's like you've tarnished the image of the family, their representation in society, and even to some extent it can even block some people from getting certain opportunities, or even getting to meet some people. Now, coming to the part of the society, I asked a question earlier if one of the misconceptions, like someone said, all drug addicts or abusers are criminals. But we know definitely when you are abusing drug or misusing it, there will be a lot of tendencies to do whatever you have to do to be able to get your hands on the drug or the means to purchase those drugs. So on that aspect of it in society, some people believe that when such a thing happens, the individual should be excluded from society, or there should be a particular a specific place for them. What are some of the solutions or the remedies in your perspective you think the families in which they come from, the family as a society or organizations, governments, whatever, can bring to helping some of these people?
Okay. Thanks very much. When I take, for instance, the family members, The solution they can provide is to engage open communication. Open
it's
communication.
Not an easy one to have, though.
Yeah, open communication and guidance, because these people need a lot of support. They need counseling. That's why there is a need also for the government to train psychology, to train psychiatrists, to train medical or health professionals in order to enforce them or to enable them giving proper counseling, proper direction, proper help to these people. You see, for instance, in a family, it can lead to economic burden, and that's why it's very urgent, it's very necessary to help at all costs these people. But I prioritize open communication, spiritual guidance, if possible, and assistance. Yeah, they need a lot of assistance.
Okay, Ms. Lomé.
I think what I would like to add is probably policy changes from the government can do that to support, because one thing I know for sure is going for rehabilitation services is very expensive. Very expensive. Yeah. Most families do really want to help their family members who have been engaged in some of these vices, but they don't have the financial means to. So if government can at least put in some funding into the treatment of this kind of illness, because now we know that it is an illness and it's not just a choice. Someone does not get up to do drugs with the intention of getting addicted, but the repeated use of it alters their mental health and all of that, and then they end up getting addicted to it. And so what the government can do to help these people, because no matter what, when these people also get back on their feet, they contribute their quota back to helping the society. So if the government can pump in some kind of funding into these rehabilitation centers, or even have state-owned rehabilitation centers, because most of the rehabilitation centers are either owned by private individuals, or they are owned by some NGOs, or they are owned by a church organization, and so you would just have to pay private, like you are paying a private institution to help you out. If the government can put some of these things in place, I think it will go a long way to help people get out of it, because it's not everyone who is addicted that wants to continue doing it. Most people want to stop, but how to becomes a problem.
Yeah. In addition to what you said, maybe to be a bit more specific in terms of policy, there could be maybe a fund that can help people. Yeah. I know it's an addiction to drug, but there are certain things, it's still drug that can cure it. So maybe some of those drugs could be expensive, if there could be subsidies for them, or in terms of even the feeding. And also maybe, I don't know, a form of creative arts environment where, if probably you were a carpenter before you went there, or you got addicted and you don't know how to get out of it, and there's a center where you can go and practice or learn. Or even if you had no handicraft or job, when you are in the center, because I feel one of the key things about getting addicted or abusing is the idleness. When you are idle, your mind will definitely find something to do. So if they can give subsidies on the medicines that they need for the cure, even with food and maybe a handcraft, that's something that they can do to occupy their time. I think when they are out, they will be able to probably do a lot of things. So what do you have to say?
In terms of solution, if I should talk about Lomé, for example, we have about, for my knowledge, we have about 4 centers. One which is government-owned center, which is in one of the hospitals in Lomé, but other centers are in Lomé. But most of the time, what happens when people get to those addictions, we don't see them from the beginning, because there is the prevention aspect is not well known. So it's the moment when it gets worse that we bring them to those places, and there already there is a problem. So I will sequence it into So some points. The prevention aspect, the treatment and the rehabilitation aspect. The treatments are in two ways: the psychological and psychiatric. Okay. But means that it depends on the level where it is.
Yes.
Now, all have to do with finances, but on the government-owned centers, there are some of them. When you go, when it is still elementary, they take charge of everything. Okay. So it is when it gets to the other side that it needs more fund, and the mental health support. This is also have to do with the environment and all the things that you just say, how to reintroduce them into doing something that would occupy their time so they can be busy doing something. And the harm reduction, when it happens, they are harm. It needs to be reduced step by step until they get, and the community involvement, because somebody who is addicted, getting back to the community is the community that needs to accept this person and help. So there is a whole lot of things that needs to be done.
Yeah, I just have to. Okay. In addition to what you just said, I think that talking about prevention, the government should reinforce the educational system. From primary school to college, they should introduce these teachings to prevent, because through teaching we prevent a lot of things in nations. And also talking about communities, I think the government should partner with religious authorities, with organizations, NGOs. Why not funding financially? Because when we study closely, most of young men and women attend churches, religious activities, and they are found there. So it is there is a necessity to partner with these leaders, because they have they are mostly in connection with these people, and they know how to talk with these young people. And the last aspect is founding youth entrepreneurship, because financial depression and deprivation can lead to frustration, can lead to depression, and can lead to drug abuse. When people are frustrated, when they don't have what is required to start a business, it leads to idleness. So when they are idle, they are unable to work, to focus on their goals, on their objectives in life. You see, thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation and also for honoring it. Mr. Yasen Ketemepi, who is an apostle and a writer, as well as a Bible school teacher. Thank you, Prince Mali, who is a teacher and also community wellness and ethics consultant, and Miss Lomé Akugre, who is a teacher. She joined us lately, but she's been very insightful. Thank you for coming. So we want to wrap up on this episode. We know definitely this topic is something that we have to keep talking about. We can't summarize everything today. We are hoping to come back on a different aspect of it, maybe another time. So if you watch the program, for those who haven't watched, you can follow us on Facebook, the KEYPOINT with double I, and on YouTube is the New World TV, the KEYPOINT playlist. See you next week. It's a bye.